Welcome, everybody, to a very special live edition of Let's Talk Broncos. I'm here with Joey Richards and Zach Seegers, and we're coming off a Week 1 Monday Night Football loss to the Seahawks. The Denver Broncos may have lost that game, but we're here to tell you it's probably not time to panic. We'll let you be the judge of that as we walk through a lot of what happened last night. It was one heck of a game, but before we get into that, guys, how are you doing?
I'm doing well considering the circumstances of yesterday. Yesterday, obviously, devastating loss. We're going to get into the reason why it was so devastating later in this episode, but I think I let all my anger out and swipe at Cam Spaces, so I feel like I'm better than I think I would have otherwise.
Very good.
Yeah.
Zach, how are you?
Not good. I think I've said good every single episode of the LTB podcast. And today it's not good. I really hope my Wi-Fi is not about to crash on me again. I'm getting worried it's about to. But yeah, not doing well. In the process of moving, except my apartment is not habitable at the moment. So that's really fun. Today was the move-in date. I can't live in it. So trying to figure that out. That's exciting. And a pretty rough Broncos game, but excited to have a little LTB therapy session with some of my favorite people.
I thought you were going to say it was bad because prior to going live, we had just gotten into a very contentious argument prior to me clicking the go live button. And that's just what we do here at Let's Talk Broncos. We get a little feisty. We get a little argumentative. We like to get under each other's skin. We like to become elevated before we present ourselves to the Let's Talk Broncos community. And that's exactly what we've done tonight. So if we start swinging tonight, you know exactly who the culprit was. All right.
I think that you guys need to speak for yourself. I'm in no way involved.
Joey's pretty chill. It's pretty much Bree Maestas, owner of a Drew Lock Seattle Seahawks jersey, coming at me for suggesting she might like Drew Lock.
Okay. So I didn't buy the Drew Lock jersey. It was a gift from Joey. So to say that he's not somehow culpable in all of this is absolutely absurd. I didn't buy the Drew Lock jersey. In fact, when he was traded, I was like, all right, here we go. Brand new start. I don't have to worry about it. But no, the Let's Talk Broncos crew decided to inflame the situation.
Put a nickel in the jukebox, baby.
So why do you wear it to practice?
Because there was a bet that I wouldn't. It was like, oh, how many retweets can we get so that I can go ahead and wear this at practice and look like an actual dummy so you guys can get clicks on a post? Because apparently I'm just a billboard.
Engagement.
Oh, my God. Listen, I'm a professional here.
That was good.
I can maintain professionalism. If you're over there, we've derailed. I'm sorry. If you are watching over on Twitter or you're watching over on Facebook, which you probably already clicked out because I've been yelling the entire time, I'm sorry. Go ahead and jump over to YouTube. You can get your questions and comments highlighted. And then if you're not familiar with us already, you can go ahead and go over to milehighsports.com and catch all of Joey and Zach's excellent work. They write for Mile High Sports. You're going to want to consume as much of that information as you can. Zach releases about every single day, sometimes twice a day. It feels like now. I don't know. There's a lot of Broncos content. He is a content machine. We just talked about how we hate that.
Just churning out content. Content.
Zach and Bree are what you call influencers. That's what I'm getting to the bottom of recently.
Oh, goodness. Okay, well, but were you going to say another inflammatory remark, Zach, or can I start the show?
No, I was just going to say I put out some great content about the game last. I was going to try and actually throw you ore here.
Yeah, please. A lifesaver is preferable as I'm drowning right now. Guys, last night was a bit of... There was a lot of negatives. There was a lot of overreactions. I think all of Broncos country was very emotionally invested in this first game. Who could blame them? Russell Wilson at the helm, an entire new Broncos organization, and a very exciting roster going against the Seattle Seahawks, which probably, I think, in a lot of minds should have been a gimme game. Unfortunately, the score was a lot closer than I think most people anticipated, and that was due to a lot of very ill-timed mistakes and a death by inches, if you will. So the most important one I think Broncos country is really interested to talk about tonight is going to be the Hacketing. That decision to kick that field goal in the position that they were, I think at the 64-yard line, that raised a lot of questions on whether or not that was the right move. You have Nathaniel Hackett coming back with the pressers today saying that, you know what, had he been able to do it again, they wouldn't have gone for it. So I want to hear your guys' take on that. Joey, I'm going to throw it to you because you're smiling like the devil. Let's hear what you have to say about it.
Yeah. It's something that it's hard to get over, right? And I think we've all kind of already discussed a little bit. Everybody has gotten their takes off on the timeline about it, and it's over talked about now, but you just can't take your quarterback off the field in that situation, the guy you just traded 2 firsts, 2 seconds, all these players for Brandon McManus. And it's not even Brandon McManus is bad type thing. It's just, man, it was 60, what was it? 64-yard field goal or 5 yards with Russell Wilson. 64-yard field goal, second longest field goal of all time. The process is a flaw. And to me, it makes it even more concerning that Hackett came out and said it was planned that way. In my mind, it's worse because I think that it shows a flaw in process. It completely shows a flaw in process. I don't know how you come to that conclusion to say this is our plan. And it makes me a little worried. I'm going to chalk it up to a rookie coach mistake, but at least raises a flag.
Yeah, I think it definitely raises a red flag. It was one of the worst coaching decisions I've ever seen in game. Like off the top of my head, I think you can find worse ones. And I think once we're given the explanation, it makes it a little more reasonable. But to me, it's like the Griff Whalen trick play. If you can think back to that infamous Chuck Pagano play dubbed the worst play in NFL history. It was like the Griff Whalen play of clock management or in-game management, whatever you want to qualify, whatever bucket you want to describe this in. It was insanity. You do not make 64-yard field goals in the NFL. Like Tom Dempsey kicked a 63-yarder like 70 years ago, and then no one kicked a longer field goal until Justin Tucker, arguably the greatest kicker in NFL history, in a dome, barely did it. I believe it bounced off the lower crossbar and like somehow tumbled in. That's it. No one otherwise has kicked a longer field goal. And you opt for that. Like, I think the fact that Tucker hit a 66-yarder last year kind of even messes with us and makes us kind of forget how truly terrible this decision was. 70 years of football went without. Like, a lot of weird stuff happens in football frequently. It's part of the reason we all love the sport so much. 7 years of football went by and no one could do this thing, and they went with that over Wilson picking up 5 yards. The fact that that was the goal, I think, is ridiculous. It should be an easy decision to grow from. Whatever formula took you to believe that the 46-yard line was the goal, I think you can operate with that same formula, but subtract 5 yards from it. Like if Stooks says something, all right, Stooks told me it was 62 yards this game. The limit is 57. Okay, McManus told me he's good from 64 this game. We're not going further than 59. That, I think, is how you've got. It's not a super difficult adjustment to make, as opposed to totally like melting down in the moment, losing your cool under pressure. Because I think we saw that from Fangio, and that continued to repeat itself. Because I think that's a less correctable problem. This to me seems like they came up with a stupid ass plan. And then executed it flawlessly. The problem was it was a stupid ass plan. I have faith they can come up with a better plan next time.
Can I ask, why does that make it better that was planned in your eyes?
For what I just said, I think it's much easier to adjust that plan than it is to make someone that can't handle pressure good at handling pressure.
So I don't know, because it shows a flaw in process, right? Like, it's like anything else. If there's a flaw in process,
but what's the
like, that's philosophy. Like that's something that can, like, you planned it to make it that difficult for yourself. Like, I think
get that, but what, like,
the wrong moment is something that's easier to learn from than something that was planned. Something
I
that
disagree.
Why? I don't
Because
know.
if you fall apart in the chaos of the moment, that's way harder to correct, because that's like something about how you handle pressure. Like that's a skill you need to grow on. This is, again, a plan they executed flawlessly. And I don't disagree. It does show a flaw in process, but I don't think it's like, we were DMing about this earlier, and you used the example of drafting a linebacker top 10 or something, and that being bad process. And I agree. The difference with drafting a linebacker is like, you don't see that that's a really bad or a really good decision for 2-3 years, generally speaking, unless it's a home run or a total whiff. I also think it's more of a core philosophy thing where like you've thought about how you're going to build a team as a scout forever. And I think there's some of that with the coaching stuff, but it was like you put too much faith in McManus or Stoops or both. That shouldn't be hard to adjust. Like, we're all human beings, including Coach Hackett. It's a lot harder to be like, oh my God, this is something I'm bad at, I now need to get good at it, as opposed to, okay, I listened, and we don't know the exact behind the scenes, but Stoops and or McManus told him they were good from 64. Okay, you know what? We can't base it off where they're feeling good on pregame warmups, because that's inaccurate. He came out and owned the mea culpa today. Hey, that was a mistake in my process. I need to adjust that. That's a much easier thing to adjust to me. As the other thing is a skill that needs to improve. One is a plan that needs adjustment.
I don't really know if it's a skill that needs to be improved if it's one blunder, like if it's one mistake. That's what you call a rookie mistake, right? Like when a rookie drops a pass, we call it a rookie mistake. Learn from it the next time. Now, if the rookie's running,
but he's been around. He's been around football.
What's going on?
He's been around football his whole life. He's an NFL lifer.
That's the exact reason why it's scary.
I disagree. I think it's scarier if he's unprepared for the moment after being an NFL lifer, as opposed to making a bad plan once. He's going to make a lot more bad plans. I think he can learn from them and adjust them. It's so much easier to adjust a plan.
I think
Joey, is it hard? Like, is it harder to become really good at basketball, or like, I don't know, leave 5 minutes earlier because you showed up late to work one time? Like, it's
out in the right position is more of missing a shot, rather than literally a philosophy thing where it's like, I'm going to go up. And
this was a special blunder.
It was one of the worst I've ever seen. That's why it's such a red flag. Like,
I think what's the plan? What's the plan that we're so terrified about here? That he thought, like, that he listened to his kicker and special team
plans. That's what it is. That he has more terrible late game plans.
But I don't think that's the case. Like, we can pretty easily see how he got to this point, right? Like, it's not that difficult to see how he got there.
I see. That's where I don't get the reasoning. I don't get the reasoning at all.
I'll tell you right now. Dwayne Stoops and or Brandon McManus came to him and said, hey, coach, I feel good from 64 this game. And Nathaniel Hackett listened to them. Okay. Don't listen to him next time. That's not a hard adjustment to make. That's really not a hard, as opposed to, I don't handle pressure well. Let me start handling pressure well.
Okay, I'm going to respond. We should actually move off of this end,
I wasn't going to say it only because I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
This is the good stuff when we get a good back and forth.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I don't know. Carry on. Go ahead. I lost my train of thought.
I just wanted to point out a comment real quick. If you think about it, please feel free to chime back in, Joey. Hackett fessed up and acknowledged he was a dummy. I'm not going to read the whole thing because that's just going to make me giggle live on screen. With the field goal call, that's what we call growth, my friends. I think it is important to point out, and I'm not going to reference the last regime, but, taking a responsibility for the decisions that were made. I do agree, Zach, that if they were told something and he decided to go full steam ahead with that plan, he was trusting a lot in his players. Hackett's a player first coach.
Really quick, I view it like being a bad route runner versus running the wrong route on a play. Like, I would rather the mistake as opposed to like the lack of ability. I think one is easier to correct. This seemed like a mistake as opposed to a lack of ability to handle clutch situations.
I just don't know how you can say that wasn't the same thing. Like that definitely could have just been a crack in this guy can't handle late game situations.
Well,
Like
better to figure out in the first game of the.
No, and I think that could be part of it, but I think like you definitely chaos is not preferable. Yeah.
No, I'm good. You guys good on the field goal, the hacketing, as we like to call it here on Let's Talk Broncos? I think I'm good with it. I think we can move on. We'll probably reference it a little bit later, though. But let's get into the optimism part. I don't want Broncos country to panic. I need you both to kind of dig into what you saw that was positive from last night's game and let us really know why there's reasons for optimism after that very close loss to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, so I was watching the game film right before this, and I kind of made it like 40 minutes in. It's an hour and 5-minute film, so I'm 45 minutes in, and I will say there was a lot the Broncos did well. I think a lot of the mistakes you can chalk up are mistakes that you can say are because you have a brand new everything in there, right? It was like, sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. It was a lot of newness, right? It was something that I have said on this podcast is I think the Broncos are going to struggle with a new quarterback, a new head coach. I think the best Broncos team we're going to see is down the road. And you saw penalties, undisciplined stuff that can be cleaned up. That all is fixable. Now I'm excited about some of the stuff I saw as well. I think Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory, for anybody that was saying, where's the pass rush in the first half? Calm down. The pass rush was there. The defensive line is going to kick ass. I'm going to say it. I think they're going to be really good as long as people stay healthy. Adding on to that, hey, man, Russell Wilson gives you hope, right? Like that's the main thing there.
That is a lot of hope there. I want to point out Christopher's comment as well. Manny mentioned Hackett had never been on field to call plays for a veteran QB, only for rookies, otherwise in the booth, hence the slower pace. It's what he was used to, must be cleaned up. Can we talk also, too, a little bit about the positives from Russell Wilson? I think there's a couple of members of Broncos country who may have been a little concerned that maybe it was Russell's fault. And I know Zach has a very strong opinion to that topic that I did want to touch on as well, and not to disrupt what Joey was saying, but I also agree there.
No, I think it falls right in line. Like talking about how good this offense looked with the newness, so much of the newness ties back to Russell Wilson, right? Like it's him operating with all these new pieces in a fully new offense to him, at least. I mean, I guess the Shane Waldron stuff, there's a little carryover. And I thought he did a really good job executing it. There weren't a lot of drives in this game, which in part limited points. But he got the Broncos into field goal range on, I believe, every single Broncos drive. Oh no, there was the one punt, but outside of that, it was lights out nearly every Broncos drive. Like he was really good. The running game was part of it too, operating in this new system. I was worried about how Javonte would translate to it. I think it's easy to quiet those concerns some. I don't know. The offense looked fantastic. You have a quarterback going 8 yards per attempt on like 70% completion percentage, and both running backs going over 5 yards per carry. Like football's more complex than that, but when you have those things happening, it's generally very hard to lose games. I also thought another reason for optimism. Sorry, I know you were setting me up with the Wilson. Let me get into that some. The reasons for pessimism around Wilson were what we saw the last 2 years. He was restricted by his physical limitations and not being able to attack the middle of the field. And I think we saw those same things play out last night. If you look at his shot chart, it's going to look like it did all throughout Seattle. But it didn't matter because you had the running game. You had better pieces around him. You had a line that was able to protect him better, where he was back in the pocket. It felt for like 7-8 seconds at times. It was just absurd what he had to work with. And I think we saw a really good version of Wilson, and I'm really optimistic about what the future of him brings.
Yeah, Joey, did you have anything to add to that?
To Russell Wilson, I just think I don't know. I kind of agree there. You did kind of see the middle of the field stuff. Like if you look at the chart, it's the exact same thing as what we've seen in the past, right? You're going to struggle over the middle of the field. But where Russell Wilson is amazing, he's so good at throwing outside the numbers. And guys, the Broncos offense had 400 yards yesterday. It's like, how much does it really hurt you? Like, that's kind of the question that I have is like, if you can work around it, you can work around it. If he's going to be so elite at this other stuff, I'm not going to worry about, the stuff he can't do. It's about putting the players in position for success, and Nathaniel Hackett should be doing that.
And I think it's like we lost the forest for the trees a little bit with the Wilson thing. Like he is flawed. He's a limited player. He's not Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert. He's not the once in the world player who can do every single thing you'd ask of him. But he's still a really elite quarterback. Like Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, I think only 1 year his entire career had an offense ranked outside the top 10 in DVOA. Like those limitations have always existed for Russ. He's still a damn good quarterback. Like it's looking good for the Broncos. And then on defense, I was optimistic talking earlier about the coaching staff and needing to make some adjustments. We saw some adjustments play out last night on defense from the first half to the second half. They adjusted how they played Geno Smith. They took Kareem Jackson off the field for some snaps and put Caden Stearns in his place in more obvious passing situations. And I don't think it was a coincidence the defense suddenly improved. They allowed 33 yards in the second half. They have a top 4 defense in the NFL in terms of raw yardage. Not a great metric, but they did that after allowing the Seahawks to go up and down the field on them all first half. Like that's remarkable. They could not get a stop to save their lives in the first half, it felt like. And then in the second half, they were so dominant, they finished as a top 4 defense in the NFL. There's something to that. And I think some sign for optimism after what appeared to be an Ejiro Evero nightmare for like the first 20, 30 minutes.
What may have seemed like a performance by DK Metcalf when you actually look at how many yards he got and how well Patrick Surtain actually performed and all the praise that he's getting from across the league is really exciting. That's something that we've all been looking forward to. I think prior to this morning, I went to bed in a little bit of short temper, a little bit of mind-blowing mistakes, but I think it was all really an anomaly. And I think we've chatted quite a bit about how a couple of mistakes going the other way makes the score a lot different than what it was last night. I think that all points very positively in the direction that the Denver Broncos are really not that far off. And it was week 1 football. So a bunch of crazy things are bound to happen. We have a lot of comments and questions. Did you guys want to touch on any more reasons for optimism before I start highlighting some of our community?
Yeah, I want to say one more thing. I want to say something while studying film, a note I had just was how good DJ Jones looks. And I think it went under the radar. I think DJ Jones looks like a stud. I thought it was interesting, too, a lot of Purcell and DJ Jones lineups, DJ Jones playing nose. The Broncos went big a lot last night, and I think it was effective. I'm going to post some of the DJ Jones clips that I have later tonight, I think. But, man, he looked really solid.
Yeah, that's definitely something to be excited about. Zach?
Yeah, I have one last one kind of tying into what Joey said. On that defensive front, I think we talked about it frequently this summer, Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb being 2 of the biggest X factors on this team, and they were terrific. I know Joey was doing some film study of them earlier today and was really, really happy with what he saw. I can't wait to dive deeper into that. But yeah, made huge impact plays. The Bradley Chubb fumble, like it's easy to forget it now because it just flew immediately into Charles Cross's hands, but had a couple massively valuable defensive plays there.
Yeah, the Broncos forced 3 fumbles last night. That's something that not a lot of people have talked about. The Ronald Darby punch out that happened to just fall in somebody's hand. The Bradley Chubb one, and obviously Randy Gregory, which was a hell of a hustle play, guys. He worked from the end, coming on that side, all the way to where the receiver caught that screen route and ran over there. Someone held him up, and he ripped up the ball. It's exactly how you want to see it played.
Fumbles are some of the most, not forcing them, but recovering them is some of the most luck-based part of the sport. And there were 5 fumbles last night, and 4 of them bounced almost directly into the hands of a Seahawk. Charles Cross, the Rashad Penny one with Darby forcing it, and then the 2 running back ones where it was just like, boom, into the end zone. Like, that's it, all over.
Yeah.
You got to score points off those turnovers, though. So if you're going to get possession off of them, you better get some points off of them. Otherwise, you're going to see. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm the worst. I have one more reason for optimism. Exactly that. The football is a luck-based sport. I think people hate how luck-based football is because we all spend all this time analyzing it and we care so much about it and we tie our emotions to it, and it's just so fluky and lucky. Like, there's a lot of strategy and scheme and like all that stuff. There's a lot of luck, and the Broncos had a lot of luck bounce their way. And like, that's on some levels a lazy excuse, but it's also just accurate.
Yeah, Colin McCallan chimed in over on the YouTube. Let's remember it was a road game, which is always tough. Lots of reasons for optimism. That 12th man out there in Seattle is no joke. We hear lots about it. They came out, they were loud, it was impressive, and probably led to a lot of the miscommunications that did happen. So I'd like to point that out as something absolutely that we should have some optimism on. I'm going to scroll through the chat real quick and just grab a couple of comments. Ty said, minus his ability to get the play clock right, Wilson looks solid. Guys, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I think what's interesting about it is I don't even think that I think a lot of the play clock stuff was on Hackett, truthfully. I was talking about this earlier, but with you guys in the group chat, and it was a lot of it had to come down. Shout out to the 12s, man. They balled out. They were part of the team yesterday. They were really, really loud, and it screwed up what the Broncos were trying to do. Now, that's not an excuse. The Broncos have to come into the game more prepared and be able to get that snap off quicker. But it was absolute chaos at the line of scrimmage every single time. Edge rushers on Seattle, interior defensive linemen for the Seahawks, got such a good jump on the ball just because – when there's 1 second left, it's either going to be a delay or they're going to get the snap off. Just go, right? There's no guessing, and they've got to pin their ears back and get after Russell Wilson or the running backs. But, yeah, I think a lot of that is on Hackett. And I also want to point out this with Wilson is that I don't think we saw his best football yesterday. He threw some not very great balls either. There was a one fly route. I think it was to Sutton, and it was in two shell, and the safety went right through his hands in the back of the end zone. Not a great ball. That Judy ball, Judy looked phenomenal on that play, by the way, the one where he scored a touchdown. That was an underthrown ball, and that's rare for Russell Wilson. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. So I think we're still going to see his best football going forward.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Bree. I think I really feel bad. I'm just tired and my timing is off. I think Russell Wilson, I agree. That was the thing that looked off to me with him. I think he bears some responsibility for the play clock stuff, but I really think like the biggest Wilson error was he almost looked like a little too amped for the game at times, and balls just came out a little funky, which is odd for him because he's one of the league's more accurate quarterbacks. To Joey's point, I think that probably gets dialed in upcoming weeks. The other thing I wanted to hit on this is exactly that. Yeah, it's on Hackett. The crowd noise is a factor, but I also think you're seeing a guy juggle head coaching responsibilities and all the management that requires at the same time as he's getting back into the swing of play calling for the first time since 2018. Like, that's a lot of job responsibilities to throw on your plate all at once. And although he got to do it some in the preseason, this was his first time doing it with Russ. One would hope they get better chemistry there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to highlight Christopher's comment that I think Joey had touched on a little bit earlier today. Lack of creativity with formations and wide receiver motion stuck out to me. A lot of adjustments can be made to get the passing game to wide receiver in rhythm. Drop back passing game is a cause for concern, which I thought was interesting considering I felt like, Joey, you felt there was a little bit more creativity than maybe Christopher felt there was. Can you maybe touch on where you agree or where you don't?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with Christopher in the drop back passing game. My point was more the run game I loved it. I thought it was very diverse. I thought they were doing different things. Like, it didn't end up working out, but I saw halfback toss counter. Like, that was something that I haven't seen ever with the Broncos. All those different tosses to Javonte were cool. They did a lot of cool running game stuff, but I'm going to have to study the passing game more. But Christopher is probably right on there. I think a lot of good Broncos plays came off of broken plays. And Russell Wilson being able to escape, receivers being able to get open off of those plays. And Russell Wilson just being a magician back there. He's pretty fucking good, guys.
And Joey just put it perfectly. Like, that was so beautiful to watch. And I think, yes, the drop back passing game is a concern because I think you weren't seeing like a lot of things on schedule, but that's been so much of Wilson's career. Like, I think he kind of thrives in some of that chaos, magician, broken play. It's why he's one of the more sacked quarterbacks of the last decade, if not the most sacked quarterback of the last decade. And you know what? There's going to be a lot of big sacks and like painful moments, but there's going to be a lot of what we saw last night was him just extending a play for 3 seconds and then finding a wide open receiver downfield.
Totally.
Interesting concern from Christopher Hart as well. Mind-blowing that Benito was active and saw 0 defensive or special team snaps, but they made a lot of great second half adjustments. Zach's right about that. So kudos to Zach for that. Point out any comments on the lack of Benito?
I just think that it's tough when you have 3 good pass rushers ahead of them, and then Jonathan Cooper with more experience, and I think he's more ready to play in the run game right away. Nick Benito's an interesting player in that where he lacks in the run game, he's a plus in pass coverage, which the Broncos did a lot yesterday. You can go look at the stats. They were dropping their edge guys into coverage more than Fangio ever did. Have to throw that one in there.
Does that count? Bree, judge, arbiter, does that count?
I might have to go back and watch the tape, but I think it does count.
Did I ever defend him, or did I just bring out a fact?
I don't know yet.
Fair.
Again, I have to rewatch.
That's a fair defense. It's a fair defense, Joe.
Okay, yeah, but I think he has to continue to work in the run game, and the moment he starts to figure that out more, we're going to see more Benito. He's too talented of a pass rusher to not play him.
Yeah, I think my thing with Benito is it kind of makes sense to me on special teams, right? Just because Chris is saying 0 defensive or special team snaps. On special teams, you're going to put Aaron Patrick above him. You're going to put, I think, Jonathan Cooper and Baron Browning both above him. And then on defense, he's kind of filling that pass rush specialist role right now. And I think you're also seeing Baron Browning fill that role a lot. And you also want Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb on the field for those third downs a lot. Randy Gregory played a limited number of snaps last night. They wanted him in those big pass rushing situations too. That's, I think, in part why you saw some more Jonathan Cooper last night. It just felt like you couldn't have that many pass rushing specialists in that game.
Yeah, definitely. Ty has a question for y'all. Do you believe the lack of targets for the wide receivers was due to Seattle's defense, or that Wilson and the wide receivers need to gel more?
See, I do see this as a little bit of a concern. Like, hey, you need to get your Sutton and Judy involved more. But at the same time, guys, they were moving up and down the field. Like, can you complain when they're moving up and down the field like that? If the Broncos score those 2 1-yard touchdowns, don't turn the ball over on downs another time. There's 21 more points right there. Like, it's hard for me to complain about how the guys were utilized up until the red zone because it worked.
They had those, and then the Tomlinson toe tap. Like, they are with the Tomlinson toe tap, where Albert Okwuegbunam spotted on that play, and the play that set up the Melvin Gordon 1-yard fumble eventually. Like, you're inches away on that spot, like 1 inch away on each of those 3 plays from having 3 touchdowns. Like, that's insanely close. I feel like you can forgive that in week 1. Like, it sucks it happened 3 times, but like, okay, things were just barely off. Like, that's kind of understandable to me. As for not getting the wide receivers involved, I think some of it was game planning, and I want to say it was I want to watch the all 22 before I say it was like Seattle's defense having incredible coverage. I think a lot of it was the game plan. This is Russell Wilson's first time in live action working with a lot of these targets. I think there was a focus on giving him a lot of layups and keeping his shots simple. I think his ADOT on play action last night was like 3. It was just all stuff in the flats and just asking Javonte and Beck and Albert Okwuegbunam to make plays after the catch. I think you'll see the receivers incorporated more and probably more creative wide receiver alignments, to Christopher's earlier point, as this offense continues to get built out. I don't think they wanted to start week 1 with calculus. They wanted to start with like, I don't know, some algebra or something.
I don't know. I can't do math either way, so it's a little too difficult for me. But I do think that you have a right frame of mind there. You got to start off easily. You don't just jump into physics or whatever. I don't know. Don't ask me. Guys, it's that time of the night, unless you have any more reasons for optimism for the LTB community.
I think I'm good. I mean, maybe just that KJ Hamler saw 2 targets. One was a really good catch on the sideline. I know Bree should be excited about that. KJ Hamler is her guy, and he just didn't get his feet in, but it would be an unbelievable catch if he did it. And then another one where it was a PI, guys grabbing a shoulder pad, Russ kind of lobbed it up, and it would have been a touchdown. I think we're going to see more KJ Hamler going forward, and it was exciting that he saw as many snaps as he did.
For sure.
But other than that, I think I'm good.
All right. Zach, how about you?
Nope, I'm fully good. Thank you.
Fully good. I love to hear it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the evening. It's Joey's question of the day. Joey,
Okay.
What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. I forgot about it, so I'm just going to do something off the top of my head.
I literally reminded you.
Middle of the podcast, I was trying to look things up and I couldn't find anything. So I'm going to go with... Okay, Zach's question of the day. Go ahead, bro.
Zach's question of the day.
All right. Oh, man, when you have the spotlight on you, this is so difficult.
I know why you're not paying attention, because you're in the YouTube commenting. Really happy about it.
That's a burner, man. That's a burner.
Totally not
or
Zach.
someone, a troll account. Yeah, that's not me. I think, okay, Broncos Trivia. Oh, man, this is so hard, Joey. I get it.
No,
I get it now.
This one right now. This is an easy question. It's not easy, but how many receptions did Javonte Williams have? And I want to don't all say it at once. I'm going to give it a countdown, like 5.
Yeah, we need some comments.
Receptions last night?
Yeah, how many receptions did he have last night?
Okay.
Okay. If you
Yeah.
I need answers in 5.
Okay.
3, 2. No, wait, 2. 0.
4.
11.
11.
Ooh.
Guys, it was pretty crazy for people that wanted to see Javonte Williams more incorporated in the passing game. You got it. Javonte Williams was definitely there. Caught a bunch of screen passes. Was a check down option. It was cool to see. I think it was too much, if I'm being honest, but it was good to see.
Okay, I got mine to pair with Joey's now. Okay, can you tell me how many receptions? It pairs well. This is fun. How many receptions Javonte Williams had all of last year?
11. No, I'm just kidding. 22. Much less.
I have no
An
idea.
average of 4 per game.
Whoa, that would be
4
I think
times
what would that be?
17.
64,
Be like
68.
40.
It's Joey's definitely closer. It's 43. But that's crazy. Like that's a quarter of last season, and then 316 yards. So
Yeah.
he had like, I don't know, somewhere like 22% of his receiving production from all of last year, and he was healthy for pretty much the whole season in one single game. I think that definitely shows some of the Green Bay flair in this offense now.
Totally.
It's exciting, and it's been an ultra exciting episode of Let's Talk Broncos on a special Tuesday episode. If you're new here, we go Monday through Friday covering the Broncos, 6 p.m. for Mile High Sports. Usually we're in studio. We'll be in studio tomorrow. Wednesday we'll be live. You'll be able to interact with us again. So if you enjoyed today, come find us tomorrow, and it'll be at the exact same place and the exact same time. Not the exact same content, but it might be the exact same people. That's yet to be determined. We shall see.
You're crazy.
Gentlemen, where can everyone find your fantastic work?
Yeah, everyone go follow me at Jared Drafts, and then my writing's on MySpace.
Everyone, please find my writing over on no, I can't do that. That'll just tank our viewership. Over on Twitter at @Sack_Seegers, and then also milehighsports.com. Tons of articles. I wrote a massive article breaking down a ton of positives and a ton of negatives from the game. 1,800 words. It's thick and full of information and hot takes and all the good stuff. So go check it out.
It is tremendous stuff. Love working with you too, and love bringing the Broncos community just a lot more information just to keep them well informed. How many other processes of that word can I use? Nope. Informatics? I don't know, guys. You can find me over on Twitter,
Informatics is good.
Informatics, which is the content of your information. I'm out of here, y'all. Breemastis 303. You can find me on the Fan Cave 1 to 2 p.m. on Mondays and every single day with the Let's Talk Broncos crew. It has been an absolutely wonderful time with you all. And if you're not already, go ahead and subscribe, like the stream. Go ahead and make sure that you set those notifications. Go follow us on Facebook if you do that as well. I support it. Just saw a comment from Ty. Ty, thanks for interacting with the chat. Christopher Hart. We had a new watcher tonight in Colin. Really appreciate y'all. And we'll catch you tomorrow. Let's go Broncos. Let's ride. Let's ride.